Hello, this is your boy Omega from the Omega 13 podcast, and today's episode guest is Super Robot Wars D180 or SRW D1 for short. And yeah, it's a kind of complex name. No offense to him, and I hope you enjoy the episode as much as me making it. That's all to say for now. Hello, this is your boy Omega from the Omega 13 podcast, and today's guest we have D for short, because no offense, your name's kind of like a mouthful on the internet. So I'll let our guest D to introduce himself to you guys.
All right. Hi, everyone. Online, my name is D180223. It's my username that I usually use when I'm online.
Okay.
But my friends will just call me D for short.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how you got into the mecha anime genre?
When I was a kid, my local television would show some programs such as Power Rangers, Gundam Wing, and God Mazinger. Those series were my first introduction to mecha in general. One funny thing is that Gundam Wing had a Chinese dub, while God Mazinger had a Malay dub. Because I'm from Singapore, and there it's a multiracial country, so all the channels would be in different languages. So, and I'm a Chinese, so in a way I did not understand a word that was being said in the Malay dub of God Mazinger. But in the end, I still watch every episode every week without fail, as it was appealing seeing a giant stone robot fight dinosaurs.
Kind of cool. That's really cool, man. Heard about that one.
Yeah.
Is that one? Sorry to interrupt, but is that one obscure Mazinger entry that's Mazinger's like a stoned giant and he kills dinosaurs?
Yeah, that's the one. Now it recently got subbed, so now you can watch it in Japanese with the English subtitles. Yeah, it took over 20 years, but they finally subbed it.
Yeah. So how I got into mecha anime is basically through Gundam Wing on a cartoon block called Toonami back in the day. That's how we got into like anime like DBZ, Yu Yu Hakusho, etc. And
in the West, yeah.
Yes, in the West. And basically, you know that first episode, the shooting stars you saw in the first episode when Hero's going down through the atmosphere and Zex and like accompanied by two Ares units. When Hero transformed to the Wing Gundam and blew those units up, I just said, man, that's how I got into mech anime. The rest is history.
Yeah, it had a very good first impression.
Yes, and I did. This was the first time they actually showed, like, in my opinion, actual death on screen on TV. Because in the U.S. they don't like showing like death for some reason on TV, even with this like action scenes and whatnot. But with Gundam Wing, due to like the characters are in robots, they probably gotten away with it. So that's kind of cool.
For me, it was a bit different. For God Mazinger, they didn't censor anything at all. So there was blood. There was the violence was all there.
Damn, man.
America is a bit different, man.
Yeah. Nagai gore and whatnot.
Yeah, that's why they had to air it in Toonami Adult Swim for your side of the country.
Yeah.
Mine was just something shown late at night.
Yeah.
It makes sense that late at night. That's why they could get away with the violence.
Yeah. So basically, my second question is, what are your favorite types of mecha anime? The super robots or the real robots, or just all of them in general?
Generally, I like all of them. I have my favorites from each side of the spectrum. For example, for the super robot side, I generally like Getter Robo, Big O, Gurren Lagann, G Gundam, Razepon. Usually the OP super robots. Then on the flip side, for the real robots, my favorites are generally Zeta Gundam, Macross, the original, Votoms, and Dragoner. Yeah, those were really good series.
Yeah,
but I'm generally fine with both, as both have their appeal in a way.
Yeah, basically, I like all the robots. Same here. Like I like old school Macross, Gator Robo. Like one of the few Westerners that ever liked the series and actually own like the OVAs Armageddon and Shin versus Neo Gator Robo.
Those were very good.
Yes, and also like Gurren Lagann, Voltoms, old school Macross, Gundam. Basically, the mecha genre is epic,
Yeah.
and the reason why I like those shows because with Super Robot, before when I was a teenager, I preferred the real robots because it kind of like fit into more reality. Yes, it's kind of strange, but over time, I like the super robots as just as much as the real robots because super robots is like basically shonen battle manga, but the main character's piloting a robot inside.
And for super robots, they can get away with almost anything. That's
Yeah,
that's from what I can see. Like for
yeah,
GE Gundam, you can have Master Asia beating up some mechs with just a piece of cloth.
yeah. Or buildings being destroyed and no one bats an eye, or fighting giant mecha beasts, or to like suit or aliens that want to enslave the human race.
Yeah,
And the
that's
coolest
the
thing,
fantasy. Yeah.
yeah, and the coolest thing is basically how the characters basically had to use voice commands due to like a security issue, but voice commands to make the robot stand out and look cool.
Yep, that's the tradition.
Yes, but then with Tomino came with Gundam, it changed everything. Everything's like live ammo or inner energy beam. You pull the trigger, and you're fighting other humans inside of rope giant like 20-foot robot, 20-foot mechanical suits.
Yeah, it's more war based instead of like monster of the week.
Yeah, it's more of a drama. While Super Robot's your battle manga.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But generally, both have their appeal, in my opinion.
yeah, they're both really cool, and I'm surprised no one makes that much Super Robots. But they are Super Robots there. But they probably needed a break or something till somebody said, "Hey, maybe I should like make an anime that shows my love of super robots."
It's also possibly that the demographic is very different from how it was back then.
Yeah,
Now people are into more different kinds of series.
yeah, and that brings a question to my third question here. What are your feeling? What are your feelings on the Western anime fandom point of view of mecha anime, despite famous AniTubers saying mecha anime is dead?
All right.
I,
Before I answer this question, I'm actually interested in your opinion.
huh?
I'm actually interested in your opinion.
Because in the West, basically, mecha anime was the thing, due to like old school Macross and a show called Voltron, aka Beast King Go Lion, which brought
Mm-hmm.
people into anime in the first place. This was back in the 80s, before
Yeah.
I was born and whatnot. This was before the Toonami generation. And over
Same.
time, people seem to forget about how mecha anime is a staple of anime in general and how people got into it. Mostly people in the West, basically, or in the US where I'm from, basically tend to follow shonen battle manga, basically from DBZ to Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Soul Eater, etc., and some Sojo here and there. But over time, people tend to dismiss the mecha genre due to the giant robots and due to like it's too dramatic and slow. Probably that's just my opinion. But there's many people who love the mecha genre as much as we do.
Yeah. And from what I've seen in different circles, that the consensus is that there is a decline or in the mecha genre in both Japan and the West. That's the opinion. But and yes, because they are looking from the aspect of numbers, like 2010s didn't have as many mecha anime as the previous decade, for example.
Yeah.
But then it cannot just be because that the genre is dying or not. You also have to look at the anime industry. The industry is changing. Like
Yeah.
when the 2010s started, Sword Art Online came out
Yep.
and gave birth to the isekai bubble. My
Yeah.
friend said that because of this huge isekai bubble, the industry now wants a piece of that isekai money, the isekai pie. And because
Yeah.
of that, they are more focused on isekai or more safe anime instead of mecha. Because
Yeah.
now the general consensus is towards those kinds of genres instead of mecha, which is the unfortunate thing right now.
Yeah. Kind of like the sad boy that people tend to ignore in the West, or outside, or I don't know about the Japan side of the industry, but or the Southeast Asian, but despite anime becoming like almost mainstream now, it's not a shame being an anime fan in the U.S. as used to be where I was growing up, but it kind of aligns what you said because the industry's changing. Robots are seen as kind of corny, despite having a resurgence in video games like Titanfall 2 and yada yada. But it still has its fans, and it has a big, huge following. Kind of like with the magical girl genre, but that had a resurgence, but in a different way, like Evangelion did in the 90s to the genre.
Madoka, right?
Yeah.
Madoka, yeah. Then because of Madoka, there were more magical series that were darker, that were more edgy.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem is that a lot of people, they are only looking at it from one aspect, from the anime side of the genre. But the genre is not just about anime. You also have video games. You also have model kits.
Yeah.
For example, in 2019, 2020, we have a large collection of Mecha video games that came out. You have your Shin Sakura Wars. Recently, you have your Panzer Paladin, an indie game that's a tribute to Gallant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got your
also,
and sorry about that. Also with Hardcore Mecha, Titanfall 2.
Yep. Mech Warrior. You have then
Robot War game.
Yeah, Super Robot Wars. That one.
Gundam versus Gundam.
Yeah. The games are doing well.
Yes, and the model kits. Let me talk about you brought a good point about the model kits. When I was starting to collect get into Gunpla back in the day, this one like 2014 or 13, you can barely find any Gunpla, let alone find it at a decent price on Amazon.
Yeah, now it's different.
Now it's different. You can find it almost everywhere. You can find it at your Hobby Lobby. Once I saw it at a Target once, so like, what? I was like a bit dumbfounded. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was like dreaming, hallucinating that I'm seeing model kit, Gunpla model kits, master grades, some high grades. It's a small selection, but I'm still kind of shocked they're selling Gunpla at a Target. If you don't know what Target is, it's basically a chain of stores that people go to buy groceries or clothes. One of those superstores, like Walmart.
Something like 7-Eleven, is it? Or bigger?
No. It's basically bigger. It's basically like a variety store, I call them, department store.
Okay.
In a single floor. Yeah.
Like a bigger 7-Eleven.
You could call it like that, yeah. And and don't know about you, but over time, now recently I can finally get a model kit that's like from $15 to $25. Before they used a high grade. A high grade of a popular mobile suit cost you like around like $30 to $40, $40 to $60, and the master grades will cost you like to the $100 range. Probably due to the shipping and whatnot, but now due to like Gunpla getting more popular and Gundam's starting to climb up to popularity as it did in the 90s or the early 2000s. I'm kind of grateful for that because I understand the pain of finding Gunpla.
During those times, I get a feeling that they didn't even try to really promote Gunpla in the West. It's only recently.
Yeah.
I mean, even in their fiscal report, they mentioned that they will now put more focus on, like, for example, North America and China markets.
Yeah.
Because I get a feeling that they weren't confident in the past. Now it's different. Now because they're doing very well in Asia, so they want to branch off. Branch
out to China and the U.S., basically.
Specifically the North America side of the U.S.
Yes, I can definitely see it now because they recently got that Gundam movie coming out, which I'm still kind of skeptical of because Sunrise gotta be involved in it. I hope they design the mobile suits. Get some of their artists to design the mobile suits.
Hathaway's Flash, correct?
Hathaway's Flash, that's an OVA. But I'm talking about the Hollywood live action movie. Legendary.
Okay.
They gotta be involved in that, man, because you know how Hollywood is with that adaptations, let alone anime
Dragon Ball
ones.
Evolutions.
Oh, don't we don't talk about that here. It's a piece of crap. It's so bad that I just walked out. I refused to watch it. I cringed at the title sequence. No, I cringed at the DVD menu. That's how bad it is. Seriously.
Yeah, but it should be fine. I'm sure they won't take any risk because they know if the movie fail, then that's it. They have to start over again.
Yep. They gotta take this seriously. Because mostly Gundam is a drama. It's basically a war drama.
Yes.
That's basically, here's the ironic thing. Gundam is basically an anti-war drama, but you know how it keep on getting popularity? The model kits.
Yeah, yeah.
We love our giant robots and all, but the stories are kind of really interesting, especially the Universal Century ones, which are my favorite entries are the OVAs and Thunderbolt.
Those had a very good action.
Yeah,
they are shorter, so they are more action oriented.
Yeah.
When compared to the long running series.
Yeah. But with Gundam Seed, but but I heard Gundam where you're at in Singapore is like very popular ever since the 2000s with Gundam Seed.
Yes. That's the ironically that's the one that got me into Gundam.
Yeah, everyone got into Gundam. I started with Wing, dude, and Wing it didn't age well. Its story needs work, but the animation wise, it did not age well. I meant the TV series, not Endless Waltz.
All right.
Yeah, and a lot of people tend to overlook how Mecha's doing because it's niche and the Giguk and crew are basically these big huge YouTubers, but we don't care about that. But they didn't tend to do research or bring up numbers or interviews. Which which is kind of a big flaw because it makes them seem kind of like very arrogant.
I wouldn't say it's arrogant. I would just say that only looking at it from a very narrow range. Like for example, when we talk about model kits and Gunpla, for example, that recently, I mean, the sales figures came out that Gundam was Namco Bandai's most profitable IP with regards to toys and models. It was in general is their second highest IP, only second to Dragon Ball.
Yeah, in the US or worldwide?
Worldwide.
Damn.
Yeah, that's why now they are shifting their focus to other markets because now they have a very strong foundation in Japan and the rest of Asia.
Yeah, now they're trying to switch to the US market, and they had a head start due to Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Ball over here in the United States, you probably heard about this, right? About now, it's like mainstream.
Yes.
And you ready for the other question, or you have any more to say about this this subject?
Could you give me 1 minute? I need to get a phone call.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
You're muted.
Okay.
So
I'm
sorry.
back now.
Perhaps you can edit that out.
I paused it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, any last words before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't just look at things from the anime perspective. We should also look at things from the games, the model kits, and also when I think the problem with Giguk's video, in my opinion, he only looked at it from 1 year, 2019. That year wasn't very good. He only had 3. I mean, by his standards, only had 3 Mecha series. But then if you look at it from the whole decade, it's a bit different. For example, 2014 in particular had 15 Mecha series alone.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, yes, there is a trend that they are getting lesser Mecha anime, but it's because the shifting, is like what I mentioned, the shifting industry. It's not because Mecha anime is getting unpopular. It's because something else is getting more popular. That eclipses everything else.
Yes, and also Mecha Anime tends to be a lot more animator, like more strain on the animators because basically, Mecha Anime gotta have high Sakuga type fight scenes as well as the robot looking cool and doing all those Obari looking poses, which is probably a strain on an animator, which tends to be on the anime industry as a whole with its problems and whatnot.
But on the flip side, because it's difficult, that means only the best can do the animation.
Yes.
That ensures that when the few mecha anime you get within that year is of quality. So it's become because I mean honestly speaking, the 2014 I saw most of the mecha anime in that year. Most of them weren't very good.
Yep.
Generally speaking, some of them the animation was very bad, very cheap in comparison
which probably damaged its reputation even further.
Yeah. So I mean, actually, I will see it as a good thing. For example, 2018 had Gridman. The animation was another level.
Yeah.
Then this year we had Re-Rise, Build Divers Re-Rise. Obari himself did the animation. So I think it's also good to look at it from quality over quantity.
Yes, exactly. Re-Rise had some really. It's like a fresh air for the Gundam franchise as a whole, which leads up to my next question. Before I finish this one, basically with Re-Rise in the Build Fighter series, Gundam was on a slump. We get into that, but with Re-Rise and the Build Fighter series, it allowed the Gundam series to have some freedom, have some breath of fresh air. The battles are not serious in Build Fighters. It lets them like combine model kits and use their gunpla as a selling point. Yeah. Instead of being in a war, instead of being in a virtual battleground where people like play go on gunpla battles for fun due to like there's a lack of tension and risk. And it can be over the top to the point of being a super robot in the suit and Gundam Build Fighters. But my next question is basically, what are your thoughts on the current Gundam franchise as a whole these days?
I mean, from the very beginning, if you look at Gundam, it's one of the pioneers of the mecha genre. And this year is its 41st anniversary. It lasted 41 years.
Exactly.
There is a good reason. Yeah, there is a good reason why it managed to last that long. And nearly every year there is a new title that's coming out.
Yeah.
It's constant. The franchise as a whole is constantly experimenting. It's adapting. It's evolving. It's reinventing itself to always stay relevant. I mean, you have your grounded UC Gundam series, your SD Gundams, your Super Robot S Gundam series, like for example G Gundam, or Build Fighters or the Build Fighters Build Diver series to a lesser extent. It's very adaptable, and my opinion is that it's a very sacred franchise. It's one of the key franchises that's keeping the genre alive and relevant.
Exactly. It's like basically it saved probably because of Gundam. It saved the mecha. It not just brought a rise into like anime culture in Japan, but also it saved the mecha genre back in the days too, before it gotten really stale. Because back in the day, you got like your Go Nagai, Super Robots, copycats. There's some standouts like the Toei's Robot Romance trilogy with
Daimos,
Daimos,
Voltes 5,
those are really good. I like Voltes 5 because how it was written. But anyways, dude, it's like basically like Saturday morning cartoon stuff, but more violent. But when Gundam came along, it standed out because you're fighting other people. They're fighting other people, and the good guys and bad guys. It's a gray side, and they're basically people trying to fight in a war to. Some people like they're just regular soldiers following orders.
Yeah,
and the machines are basically not having like using like giant shurikens or swords. Yes, there's some beam swords, but not the giant swords or calling out attacks. But you actually have your Transformer mobile suits. You have their variety of different types of machines, but the mobile suits are basically like your tanks or your jet fighters.
Yeah.
And how it's like keeping it alive these days, besides your various Super Robot Wars game, it keeps the genre like keeping it fresh and more relevant with the times. Kind of like what Super Sentai or Kamen Rider is doing right now with the Tokusatsu. But due to like there's some hits, but there's some misses. Around like the 2010s, there's a like it misses like Gundam Age and G Reco or Gundam Reconquista and G,
Yeah, yeah.
which are kind of like mediocre in my opinion. Don't know about you, but with Gundam
They
Age,
are hit and miss. Yeah, correct.
but at least Gundam Age's mecha design looked badass.
Yeah. Because Obari had a hand in it, if I'm not wrong.
I
Like,
think that was
I mean,
I don't think that was Iron Blooded Orphans and the Build Fighters. He had a hand on those.
because I remember the H3 in particular. He mentioned something about the H3. He did the same posings that made him famous in a way.
Yeah. You can't get enough of that guy, man. I kind of grew up with this work without even knowing.
He's a
You know
legend.
this. Yeah. You know this hat right
Terry,
here.
Yeah, Terry.
His OVAs got me into like Fatal Fury, SNK in general.
KOF.
Yes, I watched his OVAs when I was a kid.
He's multi-talented. Not just in one genre. He can branch out.
Yeah, I just want a Fatal Fury anime directed by him.
Yeah, and that would be actually very good.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Gundam, so far in Tokyo alone, they had 2 giant statues. First, the RX-78, and currently the Unicorn. Then they are going to make a life-size movable RX-78 in the future. And China is also getting its own Freedom Gundam.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry,
continue.
Yeah? I mean, if it's not a big deal, do you think you will get a statue?
No.
Yes, that's why.
Yeah, I believe if they keep on doing this, I believe America will get a statue like the Wing Gundam or something.
Maybe if the movie does well, if the live action movie does well.
Yes.
Or maybe at least it gets a star on the Hollywood.
Yeah.
On the Hollywood floor, if it does well. That's why it's very important that they do not screw up their movie.
Yeah.
Sorry,
my next topic is basically, what are your inspirations for being involved with the Mecca Anime Community outside of Japan?
Well, I live in Southeast Asia. So when I started from YouTube. I did Super Robot Wars videos. And then from there, I met some people. Because when playing Super Robot Wars, as someone who doesn't know Japanese, it's very hard to find guides in English because majority of the games are in Japanese.
Yeah.
So at least through the internet, I found forums, guides, met some people who guided me along, who taught me how to play the games properly, as well as introduced me to various mecha series. Yeah. Then from there, you have your Facebook, you have your Twitter, you have your Discords. Now that I think about it, I'm actually in many places. Mainly because of Mecha. Yeah.
Kind of like introduced you to a lot of places, and now you're basically like one of the biggest Twitter followers involving the mecha genre.
Maybe not Twitter. My other social medias are a bit bigger because I only recently decided to get serious with Twitter.
Yeah, same here.
Majority of the time I was with YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
But I'm now comfortable with both of them, so now I'm being a bit more active on Twitter.
Okay. And speaking of which, you kind of you gave me a memory. I think I came across you while I was watching some Super Robot Wars clips on YouTube.
Yeah. Usually that's how a lot of people recognize my username. That's my online username.
No wonder it sounded like it looked familiar, because it's basically you. Thank you. Yeah. And about Super Robot Wars as a whole, basically I got 3 of the 4 games on PS4. Just need to get Moon Dwellers and I'll complete the PS4 collection of Super Robot Wars games.
That's if they don't release a new one next year.
Exactly.
Which is very likely, because next year is their 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
If Mecha isn't relevant, do you think that game franchise will last 30 years?
No.
Yeah.
It's relevant, dude. It's just like, as you said, it's like they need to look at it at a different point of view. With model kits, with video games, it's doing well. It has respect.
Because there are some people who don't even watch anime, but they know mecha through these other aspects of the genre. So it's very, how I say, it's very narrow to just view things from one side.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people who ended up watching more mecha anime thanks to Super Robot Wars. It's
Exactly.
basically a very big advertisement, but a fun advertisement.
Yeah, fun. It's like the Smash Bros of robot anime.
Yeah.
That's why I was interested in Super Robot Wars. I was like, cool. I get to play Gundam with Mazinger Z with Big O and with Eureka 7. That's kind of freaking badass, man. And Macross too with that. Count me in. And for the longest time, I had a hard time buying into the games because they're in Japanese, and two, I had to import them. Till recently, there's the Southeast Asian versions, which I imported through Amazon and PlayAsia.
Yeah.
Worth the shipping, though, because I'm having a blast with those games.
Yeah. It's part of Namco Bandai's strategy to expand further.
Yes.
Because for a long time, the games weren't in English, at least the main games. They experimented before, but the problem with their experiments was that they released the games near the end of for example, OG1 and OG2. They released those games in English, but near the end of the Game Boy's life cycle. So the sales were very bad.
Yeah.
But now they are doing things differently. Now, the minute the game, like within the first few months or on the launch day itself, those who want the English version can also get the English version.
Yeah.
It's very different from because they have completely changed their philosophy. They want to expand their markets. So
exactly.
They translate the games in English, Chinese, so forth.
Yeah. And I heard like Super Robot Wars is a massive fandom in China because most of their games are basically in Chinese now, more than sold in English. But it's getting there in the US, but what I'm about to say, it's just getting there, but just like a little tired because I had to wake up at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I understand. I'm also quite tired.
Yeah, so. But I'm kind of really grateful for what they're doing. But it just got to me now. It's probably they released in Southeast Asia due to like a loophole. Like you can't release them in the US due to like some copyright limbo in the US involving Mecha series, like with Macross, for example.
Yeah, you haven't seen Macross in any of those games. You won't be able to see them because of
Harmony Gold, even Southeast Asia. Everyone hates that company. It probably killed the Macross franchise in the US thanks to that company, man. We don't speak about that here. One thing I give Robotech for is introducing Macross to me. That is it.
Yeah. They screwed up that golden goose.
They didn't screw it up. They slaughtered it.
Yeah.
And trying to get into the eggs, and you just killed it instead. You just got a dead body.
It's not like how Power Rangers is treated. Even until now, you still see a lot of Power Rangers series. At least they know how to make use of their golden goose.
Yes.
I mean, how many go just slaughtered it?
Not Power Rangers.
Yeah. Okay.
So the next one is how to invite non-mecha fans into the genre.
Non-mecha fans. I mean, in a way, because there are so many different types of mecha anime, I'm sure there is something that would interest them. For example, if anime is not their thing, perhaps you can offer a newbie a mecha game. Because mecha games come in all sorts of different genres. Some that are the more strategic type, maybe the Fire Emblem players, they might be interested in Super Robot Wars. Or if they are the more action-based, you have your Virtual On, you have your Gundam versus Gundam to entice them.
Yeah. And your first-person shooter, you got the Titanfall series.
Yeah.
And basically, you're saying there's a variety of reasons to get. There are a variety of ways to get into the genre. But how I got into Mecha, introduced them is show them some awesome action sequences and your favorite mecha animes, like for example, like Gundam or Macross or or Big O or something like that, for an example, and that's how I got people into it.
Show them the Sakuga.
Yes, that's how I got into it. Introduce them to the Sakuga Mecha, which someone should do on Twitter, not just with the Gundam ones.
Yeah, that's another good way to do so. To show them the flashy side of the genre.
Yeah. Okay. And the next one is, besides mecha anime, what are your favorite types of genres of anime?
I'm into seinen, dark fantasy. So Goblin Slayer, Berserk.
I love Berserk.
Then also, but the manga, waiting for the next chapter is torture.
Yeah.
Then you have your shonen, your One Piece, your My Hero Academia. I used to follow Naruto and Bleach, but those ended. So need something to fix that itch.
Yeah.
Then also a bit of isekai, but the better ones, like Konosuba, Overlord, Re:Zero. The more I watch Re:Zero, the more relatable I find it to be.
Yeah.
Have you seen Re:Zero?
My brother did. I'm not into like the isekai genre. My favorite types of anime are basically like your I have a ton. I got like Samurai Champloo, Sword of the Stranger. Like I got various ones: Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Outlaw Star.
The action type, the classics.
The action type with the mangas, I prefer like seinen, like you said, like Berserk, Eden, the world, it's a never-ending world, which is an underrated series. Holy Land, another underrated one. Angel Beats, that's not a seinen, but that's an anime that's one of the school animes I actually like.
That's a classic also.
Toradora as well. Even though it has no action, I like Toradora. Your various Ghibli movies, Castle in the Sky, Princess Mononoke, and Ninja Scroll and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Those are the classics.
Yeah. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, best animation besides Akira that I ever seen in my whole damn life.
Yeah, it still holds up even till today.
Yeah.
Yoshitaka
Amano's a genius. I tell you that right now.
Yeah. Right. I mean, at that time, everything was hand-drawn. It's not like now where everything is digital.
Yeah.
So you look at those frames second by second.
Yeah. With the CGI in anime, it kind of like gets me out of it, like not in a bad way. Basically, like, there's some good CGI in anime, which is rare, like your Pretty Cure ending or Majestic Prince's mecha battles.
Majestic Prince is very good.
Yes.
Then your Knights of Sidonia.
Yeah.
And even Mazinger Infinity was in CG.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
But basically, it kind of like takes me out of it, especially with fight scenes involving humans, like kind of like into the uncanny valley. Not in a good way, though. So kind of like, because I'm more used to seeing like hand-drawn fight scenes and whatnot, but due to like a lot of work to do that and a lot of time and coordination, yeah, they thought they can like do a shortcut or a loophole and whatnot to get past it, but dude, I don't know about you, but I just don't like most CGI in anime.
Unless they put in the work. If they don't put in the work, it won't look very good.
You
look at what they did to the 2016 Berserk.
Oh, no, man. We don't talk about that one. We talk about the 97 one or the manga. We don't talk about that crappy one. Even though the opening was good.
Yeah. I think the opening is better than the entire series.
The entire series, yeah.
Better animation than the entire series.
Yeah.
A lot of waste.
Yeah, what a waste of time, a waste of money. Everything besides the series was a waste. And what are your thoughts on how you can improve the fandom of mecha anime as a whole? Like, I mean, it's kind of small in where I'm at in the West. Don't know about in Southeast Asia.
It's big.
It's big, yes. But how to improve it in the West, It just needs more exposure to more mecha series.
It needs that one. It needs that, like for example, the Hollywood Gundam. It needs
Yes.
that one thing to attract them.
Yeah, the one entry.
Yeah, the one entry.
Yeah, like it hasn't been like impactful since Gurren Lagann, to be honest.
Yeah, in the West, because standards are a bit different in the West from what I've seen so far.
They tend to have more to like people, while like giant robots, like, come on, man, you have to use a machine to fight. Come on, I just want to see people fight, punching each other, not like having them inside of a machine. I don't mind my hand-to-hand fist fights and whatnot, but with robots, it makes it more cooler.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult one. Thought you like give your input, but like you said, it's like different tastes and whatnot.
Yeah, I remember reading that Namco Bandai, when they're expanding Gundam to North America, they plan to try and make a title that caters to the interests and tastes at North America. So that might be their strategy.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about that. You heard of Gundam Thunderbolt? Of course you do. Yeah. It's in line with American sensibilities, if they didn't notice.
Jazz, yeah.
How the character designs are more adult and the characters are grown-ups. Because mostly the one thing that annoys North American anime fans is like, why all the characters are teenagers? Due to like they have a small, narrow mindset, they mostly focus on Shonen Jump anime instead of like branching out to Seinen, which features adults. With Gundam Thunderbolt, it's not where the kid jumps into the mobile suit and whatnot. The characters in those one in Thunderbolt are basically already established soldiers.
Yes.
And they're battle-hardened veterans. That's how we'll get into. That'll bring you a blueprint of the Gundam franchise as a whole.
I mean, even before Thunderbolt, you also have Big O.
Big O, yes, Big O. That too.
Because Big O, it didn't do very well in Japan. Initially, it was only planned for one season, but because it went to Adult Swim, it got popular in the West. That's why they decided to make a season 2. Yeah. So, like what you said, because Big O, you have your Roger Smith. He's an adult. He's an adult. He's not. He's a detective.
He's a negotiator. My bad.
He's a negotiator. He's basically Batman if he has a giant robot.
Yeah.
So the Westerners, they prefer that kind of character, more mature, more adult type of character.
Yeah.
So it falls in line with what you said about Thunderbolt. So hopefully they will try to appeal to that. Because the problem with many Gundam series is that, I mean, maybe not a problem, is that because they want to sell toys, so they cater to the kids and the teenagers.
Yeah.
So if they want that American market, they need to perhaps make the main character an adult.
Yeah.
For example, I remember, like 8th MS Team is popular in America.
MS Team, your 08 War in the Pocket, Stardust Memory, those are well regarded in the Gundam fandom in the US.
Yeah.
As like you said, because are adults and they're established soldiers.
Maybe not so War in the Pocket, because War in the Pocket, you're seeing it from the perspective of a kid.
Yeah, but still that was it still is very popular though, because how it was written, because basically it's like it's how it like deconstructed the Gundam franchise as a whole.
Yeah.
From like you think all war is cool because you're seeing these giant machines killing each other, but if you look at the perspective, seeing like you see soldiers, like it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I mean the kid, he's different from in the final episode. He's not the same naive kid in episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that is one way to improve the fandom. In a way, you have to introduce them to more, like what you say, the Sakuga. Introduce them to Mecca Anime, where the main characters are adults. That might cater to the more Western audience.
Yeah, and also have like a good story as well, besides with Sakuga and having adult protagonists.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
we're
yeah,
really easy to attract people.
correct.
We're not. It's not as hard as people say. It's hard to attract the West. That's my opinion. Don't know about you, but we're kind of like really easy. Just give us some Sakuga and a good story. Bam, hit.
Because, I mean, I think the issue is that they also need to cater to their Japanese audience.
Yeah,
They're not making it with the American audience. So that's why there is that conflict.
yeah,
And I think only Gundam would have the balls and the resources to just cater to the Americans.
yeah. And it is so large to the point that even some Japanese fans will get into it because they're fans of Gundam.
Yes,
Like,
that is
hey,
why,
I'm just going to
yes,
support this because I like Gundam.
yeah, because name recognition is very important.
Yeah, branding.
You can't have any random series do it because most of them will fail.
Flop instantly
Yes,
if you don't know how to do it.
correct.
And my next question is basically how if you could how you can improve the genre of mecha anime as a whole if you can do it, if you have the opportunity to do it.
This is not an easy question. It doesn't have a very easy answer.
Yeah,
Because I mean the genre as it is now, because constantly tries to experiment. If you notice,
yeah,
I mean at the start you have your Tetsujin 28, then from there you get your Mazinger Z super robots, then from there you get your Gundam real robots, then from there you have your Evangelions, then from there you have your Code Geass. Then as it go, but I think the issue now is that the 2010s is an identity crisis. The issue is that they have so many ideas, but not many of them are sticking.
yeah,
But like what I said, the industry is changing, tastes and perspectives have changed.
yeah,
So we have to see. But
yeah,
I think for this question, we have to wait and see first because it's not something that can be changed so easily. Because you have to look at it from different perspectives, the Japanese perspective, the Western perspective. Very few mecha anime can satisfy both.
yeah,
You have to be very good in order to satisfy both.
yeah. You have to be really skilled because you different mindsets and cultures, and
Yes.
plus Japan tends to be more like drama or
Conservative. Yeah.
that's just in the Japanese side. You basically have your hot-blooded robot shows and you got your dramatic robot shows, and that's
Correct.
difficult enough.
Hmm.
In Japan, some people prefer like real robot over super robot, while the other person prefer the super robot over the real robots.
Yeah. But it's because the genre is that fluid that is attractive in the first place to people like us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my final question is, what are your final thoughts and why do you love mecha anime so much? Can I talk first or I'll let you?
Oh, okay. Then I'll go first. I mean,
Okay.
when I see a giant robot in a mecha anime, I always get that sense of wonder, power,
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
Especially when you're seeing that mecha, the giant robot in action.
Yeah.
Even the battleship from Yamato, when it first makes its appearance, is that there is that sense of elegance, that sense of power, like metal and men together, metal and men working together to achieve something greater. So like watching mecha anime is like a reminder that we as a human race, that there is so much potential that we can do. If we haven't even made a giant robot yet, it means that we still have so much potential, we still have so much possibility. So that's why I love mecha anime in general. It's very inspirational if you see it from that point of view.
Yeah. But why I like mecha anime is because it's in line with what you said about how machine and man join forces to complete a goal, an impossible goal, overcome an impossible goal. From like your super robots, you basically have like fighting an alien invasion that's all regular milities like being crushed by cockroaches to the point the giant robot comes, saves the day. But the real robot's like Metal Gear.
Yeah.
I had to rely to the last one because with Metal Gears with storytelling, it's like basically with espionage and world conspiracy theories and whatnot. I want to go like have mecha anime like that, like Front Mission, but more Gundam-ish, but with robots, because it gives the sense, gives like the pilot and the robot the spotlight. And how it improved the genres, like give the robot the spotlight with the action scenes, like the high octane, like the focus, while the pilot tends to be like more of a drama, unlike a political thriller. Even though you're finding that the pilot also like it's a soldier and like fights battles too, but with but the big ones tend to be with the robots. Feel me?
Yeah. I get what you mean. That we're trying to find that balance.
Yes.
Because a lot of series they tend to overemphasize the other more than
yes.
there is an imbalance.
Instead of getting a balance, like you said, like it's like don't know what to do with it. Like with robots, that we have all this tech and ideas, but they don't know how to use them. It's
the
like
better
in a
series. Yeah, sorry, yes.
It's like basically like you said, it's like in a crisis right now. Like they don't know what to do with it, and right now it's like people focusing on isekai because it makes them easy money.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that should be it.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. Even though it's like getting small, but I just want to try to interview as much people as I can involving video games and anime. And besides, an extra question. Sorry about this, but what are your favorite types of video games besides with giant robots?
Platforming.
I like my platformers and role-playing games.
RPGs, fighting games, but I'm not very good at fighting games. I'm not very good at using the combos.
Yes, I like fighting games too, but they're a lot of work though. That's one thing I like about fighting games, because it's not tends to be strategic, but also how to input the combos.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
A lot of patience.
Yeah.
You have your RPGs, your fighting games, your platforming.
Yeah.
I like my Mario. I like my Sonic.
I love Sonic.
Yeah.
So
then, RPGs. You have your Final Fantasy. You have your so forth.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's all. That before I go, let me just say, people, if you enjoy this podcast, please check out some Mecha animes. My recommendations are the Mobile Suit Gundam series, the old Super Dimension Fortress Macross, Voltoms, Shin Gitarobo versus Neo Gitarobo, or Neo Gitarobo versus Gitarobo.
OVAs, the Getter Robo OVA.
Oh yeah, that for short. And Majestic Prince, Broken Blade, Mazin Kaiser SKL or Mazin Kaiser as well. What else? Vision of Escaflowne as well. I got a whole ton of recommendations. So what are your recommendations?
Big O, Daigat. Of course, you have your 0079 Gundam, the original. Zeta Gundam. You have your Gurren Lagann. You have your Getter Robo Armageddon, Shin vs. Neo, Getter Robo, the Mazin Kaiser OVAs, Shin Mazinger, a good remake or a reimagining of the original to introduce new people to Mazinger. Then for you have your modern anime for the 2010s. You have your Majestic Prince, a very good example of how to do CGI right in Mecha.
Yeah.
Then you have your Hero Man. Hero Man is very underrated. Yeah, Hero Man. Then you also have, I don't know whether I should recommend this because a lot of people have issues with Cross Edge. Yeah, it's a very controversial series, but I think there's some fun in that anime if they want something a bit more extreme.
Yeah.
And you have your Macross, of course. You have your Macross Plus, Macross 7, Macross Frontier. Macross Plus has very good animation. And then you have your classic Pet Labor series. the OVAs, yeah, Gunbuster.
Yeah, I got the OG Gunbuster right there on my shelf.
Yes, it's a long list of
Long
good
list.
mecha anime. Yeah, I could go on forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, before also there's Ray Up. Ray Up is good.
Yeah. Rayer.
And like what you mentioned, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of sold off my volumes of Rayer long ago. Almost had the whole series. Just need like the final volumes of season part 1 and 2. Because like 3 volumes each, so that's like 6-volume series. So that's that. So also don't forget to like subscribe to the podcast, like the video, comment on the video on YouTube, check out the Anchor or Spotify as well. Share this podcast with everyone. Spread it to your friends or your community. Just spread it and spread it to bring importance and awareness to the podcast so it can grow. And don't feel free for those who come across my podcast to DM me if you want to interview or some recommendations on topics on what to talk about in the community. And that's all to say for now. Any last words, Steve, before we go?
All right. Have a good day, everyone. Now is a very difficult time for everyone, but I hope everyone is able to take care of themselves. Try to find some joy in this tough time. It will eventually come and go. So
yeah. And that's all to say for now. And I hope you have a nice day, D, and then you guys, the audience. And that's all to say for now. Hope peace, sayonara, and God bless.